Good morning, everyone. Hope every one of you are following the classes. Today, we will try to understand comedy, another important literary term. This is the first part of comedy. I have divided it into two parts. The second part will be discussed in the next class. Okay, now let us start with the meaning of comedy, the characteristics of comedy, and types of comedy, and all these things. Okay, comedy is a fictional work. Try to remember, it is a fictional work in which the materials are selected and managed primarily in order to interest and amuse us. That is the main focus, the prime focus of a comedy is to interest the readers or the audience, to create amusement in the minds of the audience. Okay, in comedy, the characters and their awkwardness engage our pleasurable attention rather than our profound concern. That is, it tries to create the pleasurable attention, not to create a profound concern. Okay, we are made to feel confident that no great disaster will occur during the course of the play. Okay, usually the action turns out happily for the chief characters. Another important thing that you have to remember, the action turns out happily. That is, the ending becomes happy for the chief character. The term comedy is customarily applied only to the plays for the stage or to the motion pictures or the movies or the films. Try to remember this particular information as well. But sometimes it occurs in prose fiction as well as the narrative poetry as well. Okay, try to remember this particular thing as well. Now, coming to the types of comedy, there are four major types of comedy according to a glossary of literary terms by M.H. Abrams. Number one is romantic comedy. Number two, satiric comedy. Number three, comedy of manners. And number four, farce. But along with these four types of comedy, we can find out the other types like comedy of humors, comedy of Minak. Okay, these are also important from examination point of view. Now coming to the first type of comedy, romantic comedy. Everybody must have heard about this term, romantic comedy. This is very common one. In such comedy, uh, we can find the love affairs that involves a beautiful and engaging heroine. Sometimes the heroine is in disguised form of a man. Okay, you have to remember the highlighted portions here. In romantic comedy, we find love affair between a woman and a man. Okay, the woman or the heroine is very beautiful and engaging one generally. Okay, try to remember this. The course of the love does not run very smoothly, yet overcomes all the difficulties to attain the happy ending. In such kind of plays, in such kind of romantic comedies, the love affair does not run very smoothly. Okay, some villains are there. Sometimes um, the father of the girl or the heroine becomes very tyrannic and against their relationship. Okay, but the couple or the lover and beloved overcomes all the difficulties during the course of time and the ending becomes happy. For example, you can take a Hindi movie, Dilwale Dulhania Le Jayenge, DDLJ. I think you have watched that particular movie. Okay, this is a kind of romantic comedy. It was developed by Elizabethan dramatist on the model of contemporary prose romances. It was developed by whom? The Elizabethan dramatist. Elizabethan means the period of Shakespeare. Elizabethan plays means the Shakespearean plays. The persons, the writers who wrote during the time of Elizabeth are known as the Elizabethan dramatists or playwrights or the writers. Now see, romantic comedy is very easy to be understood, and now we are just moving towards some examples of romantic comedy. Number one, Thomas Lodge, Rosalinde, 1590. Shakespeare's As You Like It, 1599. These two are examples from literature. And the Philadelphia Story, 1940, and Sleepless in Seattle, or Seattle, 1933. It is an example from motion pictures, that is movies. C and D are examples from motion pictures or movies. Okay, you can include any other types of examples that fulfill the characteristics of romantic comedy that we have discussed so far. Okay, now coming to one of the most important remarks that was given by Northrop Frye regarding the romantic comedies of Shakespeare. He says that romantic comedies of Shakespeare manifest a movement from the normal world of conflict and trouble into the green world. That is, the normal world of conflict and trouble is converted into the green world in the romantic plays or in the romantic comedies of Shakespeare, according to Northrop Frye. You should remember this particular statement as well. Sometimes you may find some questions like this. Okay, now coming to the second type of comedy, it is satiric comedy, also known as corrective comedy. In such comedies, we can see that the author or the playwright ridicules the political policies, philosophical doctrines, deviations from the accepted social order, etc., in his play using the comic way. That is, it ridicules the things which are not appropriate to the society, which can be corrected, which can be rectified by uh, the concerned authority. Okay, this is why this is known as corrective comedy. This is also known as satire. Okay, the political policies, the philosophical doctrines, the social norms can be corrected by the human beings after satirizing. Okay, after being satirized. This is why such kind of comedies are known as satiric comedy. The early master of satiric comedy was Aristophanes. He was a Greek writer. He mocked political, philosophical, and literary matters of his age. Shakespeare's contemporary Ben Jonson also wrote such kind of satiric comedy. Okay, some examples of his satiric comedies are Volpone and the Alchemist. Okay, try to read about Volpone and the Alchemist and try to find uh, the characteristics of satiric comedy there. Okay, this is your task. Now see, satiric comedy or the satire is a kind of mockery which can be rectified. Mockery on those things which can be rectified, which can be corrected. This is why you have to remember that those comedies which are known as satiric comedy uh, has the quality of social reformation as well. Okay, now we have another important type of comedy which is not included uh, in the types of comedy in my previous slide, but it is important one. It is comedy of humors. Okay, it is developed by Ben Jonson, who wrote Wolfbone and Alchemist also. Okay, it is based on ancient physiological theory of four humors. Try to remember this. Four humors, that is four primary fluids in our body, in our human body, which are blood, phlegm, choler, that is yellow bile, melancholy, that is the black bile, that is the black uh, uh, fluid in our body. So these four important fluids are responsible for the creation of the emotions in the mind and body of the human beings. This is why these are responsible for the creation of the humor as well, according to Ben Jonson. This is why he has included, he has he tried to include this comedy of humors as well. Okay, so one example was Every Man in His Humor, which was written in 1598 by Ben Jonson. This is one of the most important works of comedy of humors that has been written so far. So, in comedy of humors, you have to remember that who developed comedy of humors, what comedy of humors is, and what are the four different types of fluids of human body which are responsible for the creation of the emotions of in the bodies and the minds of the human body, okay, of the human beings, and what is the most important example of comedy of humor that has been written so far. So these are the questions that may come from comedy of humors as well. Okay, I think you have understood what comedy is, what are the different types of comedy are. Okay, what is romantic comedy, what is satiric comedy, what is comedy of humors, and what are the examples of these three types of comedies. Okay, in the next class we will try to understand what are the other types of comedy and the examples as well. So I think we should stop the class today here. Okay, so see you in the next class. Thank you.